tell me what you know.
I'll tell you everything.
Got it. Thanks.
Regardless of whether you decide to clomp around in Red Hood's boots or get down to business with the pointy yellow gauntlets of Batgirl, succeeding the Batman in Gotham Knights takes skills. More than 100 of them, in fact, if you bother to unlock them all. But by and large, the big question is which of these abilities will be most important to add to your arsenal early on in your adventure. Here are our picks for the best skills to unlock first in Gotham Knights. Now, it should go without saying, but I'm going to anyways just in case, that ultimately what skills you unlock first are best based off your own preferences and playstyle. For our purposes, we're going to focus on skills that are especially great for solo play that you can focus on snagging after you spend your first points on perfect evade for everybody, but before you unlock their knighthood abilities. Knighthood opens up a fourth skill tree based on that character's specific skill set, along with your unique hero traversal, some of which are truly wild. And while this is definitely the #1 priority on your to-do list, it can take a while to complete all the necessary challenges, especially if you're trying to progress all 4 characters at once. With that in mind, here are the best ways to spend your first several skill points for each character, starting with the original Bat Boy, Dick Grayson. Nightwing puts his training as a former circus performer to good use, making combat mobility his main focus. Early on, you'll want to really lean into this, so your first unlocks should be the trampoline and aerial bounce abilities. Trampoline on its own is solid, as the extra damage you'll inflict from the additional aerial attack is great, but you should be aware that you need to be facing whichever enemies you want to bounce to, so either make sure that there's someone easily within sight, or get real good at whipping that camera around. Aerial Bounce is a great addition to Trampoline, adding extra aerial strikes to the chain, but it's also a great way to start off a fight since it essentially gives you 3 power hits before you even drop into actual combat.
Get your asses into gear. That Wu-Tang freeze! Looks like we got us a new dance partner.
To make sure you're making the most of that combo as possible, buy into the first half of the Acrobat tree, which will boost your aerial attack damage, give you an extra momentum bar, and boost your momentum gain so you're charging up those special attacks even faster. Now, if you're maining Nightwing and want to grind out the extra skill points to unlock the evade chain, it's a great way to quickly get out of a bad situation should the need arise, and it's even better when paired with Haley's favorite. The third tree, Pack Leader, is really best for players who want to provide a support role in co-op, so unless you're starting from the top with friends, you can probably hold off on these abilities for now. Red Hood excels at both crowd control and ranged DPS. This makes it a little harder at times to deal with big enemies or get stuck in tight spaces, but he's great in battles where there's plenty of room to move around and keep some distance from all the bad guys. Your first get should be Focus Fire for the quadruple damage it gives you when taking time to aim. Next, you can either stay in that tree and grab Lucky Rounds, which gives you a small chance that a random bullet will deal a ton of extra damage, but our recommendation is to save up your skill points to unlock Human Bomb.
Did I do that?
While it's a cool move on its own, the real benefit here is that it gives you access to the extended grab window and the large grab skills, which lets you get a hold of enemies faster and grapple with those big baddies respectively. Unfortunately, when it comes to the Vengeance tree, the best skills are all the way at the bottom, so your earlier points are probably better spent elsewhere. Batgirl's skill set can get built out in a couple of different ways, depending on whether you want to make her more of a tank or have her fill the role of the nimble hacker. For us, we found the latter to be a great focus early on, especially since after unlocking the remote hacking and the ability to overload weapons or electronics with shocking devices, you can get the Digital Ghost skill, which renders you invisible to cameras, turrets, and mines for only 4 skill points total. Beyond that, we suggest picking up the extra 40% health at the top of the Grit tree, as well as the Elite Beatdown skill in Justice so that you have an easier time bringing down larger enemies. Lastly, we'll cover the current Boy Wonder. Robin's best attribute is stealth, and his ability trees have some of the most valuable skills in the game. With that in mind, the entire Shadow tree is probably worth unlocking eventually, but it should definitely be a big focus early on. Light-footed silent movement is handy, but it's more so just a door to the really good stuff. Turnabout Takedown lets you knock out large enemies like the Freak's Dozer or Mob Godmothers in one go, which is great for both sneaking around or taking out your biggest threat before a fight even starts. Similarly, the Vantage Takedown lets him string up enemies underneath specific platforms, though be aware that this isn't exactly a stealth ability. Your victim's hollering will attract attention from other guards, but you can still use this to your advantage. The hanging enemy will draw a crowd, meaning you can use them as bait to lure others away from a chest or objective. Or, if you're quick, you can kick off a fight with back-to-back takedowns, stringing one goon up and then immediately performing an ambush takedown on one of their friends. We'll also suggest picking up elemental decoy, since it's a great way to get out of a fight or at least give yourself some breathing room. And if you've got points to burn, consider grabbing elemental charge to boost your elemental buildup, and then sticky pellet, which will let you create short-lived proximity mines that can set off barrels or other hazards. And one last quick note, if you are going to mainline anyone's knighthood skills, make it Robin. Not only is his heroic traversal completely bonkers, but that slideways takedown is something else. For more on Gotham Knights, check out our performance review or get a rundown on the updated combat system. We've got plenty more info on collectibles, gear upgrades, and more in our full guide, and for all your other bat needs, you're already in the right place, IGN.